First name?
Yeah.
I have it. Pleasure to meet you.
You as well. Thank you.
Very good.
I know you very good.
Depends on who is present. You don't have the one that used to be present. That would be.
How are you, sir?
Christie, are we okay?
Good to go.
Okay, everybody signed in?
Yes.
All right, okay. Welcome, everyone. This is a special meeting for the senior services. Madam Clerk, where are you?
I'm over.
Oh, what are you doing over there?
No, over here, just so there's
Okay.
more room up there.
Okay, please call roll.
Mr. Malloy,
Here.
Mr. Bernard,
Here.
Mr. Hernandez.
Here. Okay, so we are here today to hear from the senior board. And I guess, Diane, would you like to introduce or just open up the dialogue here?
I guess Commissioner before, just so nobody, we are being taped. So when you speak, you need to give your name, so the public can watch and make sure the meeting stays within the legal boundaries of what we have. Since we are live and then you can watch it on YouTube later also.
Okay, thank you for bringing that point up. Diane?
Diane Siskowicz-Jarkovic, Senior Levy Administrator. I'm looking around the room and we've got 6 of 7 current members here. So it's a wonderful council that has mainly, most of you have been with us for a few years. Sandy, you're the president of the council. She's been here for how many terms now? 2.5, something like that, which each term is 3 years. So she is our leader. The council, I know, we talked about this subject about a week ago, I believe it was. At the
Can you
workshop.
introduce your board?
Sure, go ahead, introduce yourselves and your backgrounds.
Sandy
Quick.
Scott, Trumbull County retired health administrator, in the board, not quite 3 terms.
Name's Christina Anderson. I'm a clinical social worker. I've been in about 1 term on the board and this is my second.
Tony Laprasina, this is my first term on the board. I'm retired as the Adult Protective Services in Trumbull County.
Robin Rowlands, and I used to live at Sunshine Board Homes in one development plans. Retired.
I'm Barbara Bingle. I'm retired from the Trumbull County Clerk of Courts Office after 30 years. This is my first term since January.
I'm Bob Wolfter. I'm from Johnson Township. I am just completing my first year on the senior advisory board.
You know, we're missing who?
We're missing Dominic Marquez, who's been on the board for, I don't know, terms now, 3, 4 maybe. He is a trustee in Johnston and there is a senior center in his hometown as well. So he is very familiar with senior centers. As you can see, we've got a variety of senior related occupations here on this board. So it's a wonderful board. They're mainly united in their thought process. We have many discussions, and this most recent one is an adversary topic, but it was one that they felt was needed in order to fully serve the entire community. It was a hard decision, but this was their thought process at the time, and still I believe is. Do you want me to summarize the thought process, or do you want to hear from the advisor?
Your meeting,
Yeah,
you tell us your.
Your meeting. You wanted to meet with the council members.
We want to hear what you have to say and what you're introducing to us.
So we did release a bid cycle for senior centers, mid-April, I believe it was, and the amount that was being recommended at the time is the amount that we have been using for many years, probably 2 or 3 bid cycles. Bid cycles are 3 years, 2-year terms. And that amount was $625,000. In the meantime, we learned that the state of Ohio had not released additional money for their home care, personal care, home delivered meal program. I believe it's called the Title III program. And those funds had run out by the middle of May. So bringing that to the board's attention, the phone calls I was getting, the wait list that we already had, it was only going to expand the wait list. So the thought process at that time was, we need to rethink about how we allocate our funds. We've already doubled those areas of service and we still have a waiting list. So the thought process was to reject the senior center bids when they came in and to put a new cycle out for $500,000. That would be $125,000 that we could then put towards the homemaker care and personal care, plus the chore service program. In the chore service program, we used to have the sheriff's department that would fund using jail inmates that were honored inmates to help cut lawns during the summer. And the new sheriff didn't have that program or allow that program because he's under a tight budget as well. So he didn't release that, which cut, half the seniors that we were cutting the grass, they no longer had that grass cutting program. So the thought process was to continue to expand the homemaker service because we have such a wait list. That's the summary of it. Additional comments?
How much do you have allocated in each program traditionally?
Traditionally or this past cycle? Because this past cycle, we increased it by $600,000. So this past cycle, we increased the amount that we were, actually went from 1.2 million to 2 million in the areas of home delivered meals, adult daycare, personal care, chore, protective services, and mini grant funding. So all of those areas, we basically, that's an additional 800,000, but we also had in other programs specific funding, hoping that those who were receiving the Ohio Aging Grant that we got would again bid for their program and continue, but those programs did not do that. I can't reach out to those programs to let them know that funding is available. So maybe being that it was new, they weren't aware that it was, But we did increase our contracts by 600,000 before the levy renewal funds are coming in.
Let me add something for the benefit of the public who may not
Name.
realize.
Please give your name.
Bob Wolfter, I'm on the Senior Center Advisory Council. The public perception in many cases is that the senior levy is there only to fund senior centers. And there's no more proof of what I'm saying than an article or a letter, that appeared in the Warren Tribune yesterday, where the writer was seriously concerned that the senior levy funds were being cut at the expense of the senior centers. That's not how it works. The senior levy funds a great deal more than just the senior centers. We have many agencies and many responsibilities that we are required to fund. As Diane just said. So that when we're talking about the finances, we're trying to balance where the needs are, and we're trying to spread our limited amount of funds so that we can satisfy all of those needs.
I guess that's the breakdown I'm looking for. Diana's. How much you said 625 is what you put towards senior centers. How much did you originally have budgeted for home health care and how much for transportation? There's three aspects of this with the funding, right?
Right. We currently are contracting, want the exact dollar amount, for the area services. Senior Center one. Sorry. We are currently contracting $1.2 million for all of the other services other than, I'm sorry, again, $1.8 million for the community in-home services. Then we have another $750,000 for transportation. Senior centers at $625,000. That's what we're at.
So home health is already getting 1.8,
Yes,
senior center.
yes, up through 2026. That's 1.8 per year. The other thought process was looking at the other communities in the surrounding area. They only have Ashtabula, which is the largest geographically sized county, which is also very rural in population, has 6 centers. Mahoning County, which I don't even know what their population is compared to Trumbull County, they have 1 senior center. That is Ashtabula, Austintown, that they have their own levy to do that. This is not supported by their levy dollars. It's supported by their community's dollars, not by the Mahoning County-wide levy. We heard from the director of the Family and Community Services at the workshop. They don't even have a senior center in their county. So we were just looking for a way to balance and reallocate our funds to those who are in the greatest need, those people who cannot even get out of their home. If we reduce the funding, the possibility of merging centers makes sense. The seniors are driving to, they're mobile now to get to their centers. They might have to go to a new center. Their friends would follow them to that new center, make new friendships. This is the thought process of possibly reducing the senior center funding so that we can meet that wait list. That wait list costs us, I believe I've had it calculated, it's written in here somewhere. Each person costs $9,000 per year for 1 person. Multiply that by 50. There's $450,000 for the year. This is going to help that. It's not going to solve that. But this is where we have the greatest need is in that homemaker care area. And this is all to remain within a sustainable budget. I keep saying that too, because as a CPA, when I work with budgets, I'm looking at sustainability. I don't want to start something and then I have to cut it when those funds are gone. So we try to keep it in balance.
And this is Royal Clarity. So we have 6 senior centers now.
We have 11.
We have 11 now. And those 11 operated on 625 last year, correct? So if we maintain the
Well,
same,
that's not what they requested.
I'm saying, but what did they operate on? What did we give them last year?
625,000.
And they were able to survive. Those 11 made it through the year with 625. So if you cut back 125, surely they would strain all 11. But if we left it at that 625, as Commissioner Bernard recommended the last meeting, using savings for that, those 11 could still maintain probably on that 625. If we don't add any more, we don't need any more, of course, it sounds like, but those 11 would be able to sustain on 625. They did it once, they could.
Well, we don't know if they could stay at 12,500 less per year either. They make, if we cut by 500,000, that would be a 12,500 cut. If we did it evenly across the board.
Right.
Could they sustain using just 12,500 less? You're working within your tight budget as well.
Yeah, but you have an excess of 300 and some $1,000 sitting there, right?
How much?
300 plus $1,000. Isn't that a carryover or leftover? Isn't that a balance that you have, $300,000?
That is right now, yes. If we continue to fund the senior centers at 625, multiply 125 into that 300,000 plus, you're talking 2 more years.
Right. Now, let me ask you another question. What is it, Buckeye Pace or whatever this
There's
is?
a new senior center coming
Okay.
in town.
Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Now, they're supposed to be taking on some of this home health care, right? It's my understanding that they're gonna start doing some of that. So that's gonna cut down some of those numbers. I saw in the news that they said that they could possibly take in 200.
Buckeye Pace is here, so we
Okay.
can find out the specifics, how
I mean,
that,
I'm just hearing it, yeah.
well, how that program works for a senior, what is their cost involved to get that home health care? It's not free. Ours is,
That's not gonna cost the county.
It's not gonna
is it?
cost the,
County.
not the county, but the
it's
individual.
not gonna cost anybody
Okay,
anything. It's all Medicare, Medicaid.
Maria's here. You have-
Please give us more. Yeah,
Down your names.
yeah, come over here, ladies, and give your names when you're speaking.
And I have some information. I am Maria McCartan. I am the provider liaison for Buckeye Pace in Trumbull and Mahoney County. And we also opened a center in Ashtabula as well.
But is it nonprofit or profit?
It's for profit. It's for profit.
Yeah.
So do you wanna go?
Yeah, so I'm Evan Clark. I'll be the center operations manager for the Trumbull County branch. Currently I am overseeing center operations for our Sharon PA location, which covers all of Mercer County. PA. So, and I've been there for about 2.5 years.
Thank you.
So you want to tell us how it works?
So we are a Medicare Medicaid waiver program. So participants in our program do not have to specifically have Medicare Medicaid to qualify. We do typically see that type of population, that type of population we do serve. What we do is all inclusive care for the elderly. So in order to qualify for our program, you have to be 55 years and older. You have to be nursing facility clinically eligible. So that means that you have at least two conditions or ailments or something that is certifying you that you should live in a nursing home. However, our promise and what we do with those seniors is we promise to keep you in your home, in your community, connected, and safe. And so we provide home care services. So going into the home, doing personal care, like housekeeping. We do transportation, so we can bring them to our center. Our center is operational Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. We take them also to all of their doctor's appointments at home. On occasion, when there are outside services too, we can take them to those things. We also have social workers on staff, so doing a lot of like those rent rebates, helping them with housing, food insecurities, things like that. Also like the counseling aspect of it, but also for counselors like we did. We have dietary, so we do home delivered meals through Mom's Meals. We also have the nutrition group, which brings in a meal to our center every single day. We serve a hot meal for lunch to all the seniors that attend that day. We also do snacks in the afternoon, and then those dietitians can also do supplements for, diet recommendations, any kind of supplement for wound healing, if you need that education to lose weight, gain weight, whatever it kind of looks for you, tube feeds, those types of things. We also have a medical records team and a clinic with staff with a nurse practitioner, a provider, and nurses. So we can handle anything from, an acute, I have a headache, I have a cough, to upwards of an urgent care can do, and all the way through like an ER. So if someone comes into our center and said, "Oh, I'm really having chest pain," we can run an EKG in the clinic, give them, any kind of medication they might need just to get them safely to that ER or hospital nearby.
We also provide physical therapy. We provide occupational therapy, either in the home or at the center as well. Also, what we have at the center, we have showers, all ADA compliant, very large, very nice. So if someone is having an issue at home and they want to get a shower at the center, they can do that as well. They're not getting their laundry done, something went wrong, they just, weren't feeling well that day. When our transportation driver picks them up, they can let him know, her know, and they can bring their laundry into the center. And their laundry, they can do it if they want, or we'll do it for them as well. We make all the doctor's appointments for them. We handle the DME, which is your medical equipment. So if there's CPAP, oxygen, vet metal, that is all taken care of through Buckeye Pace. The meds, but I don't think there's anything that we don't cover.
When seniors join our program too, they don't pay co-pays for doctor's appointments any longer. They don't pay for any medication that includes the over-counter, so Tylenol, cough drops, you name it. And they also don't pay for any incontinence supplies. So briefs, chucks, wipes, that's a huge expense for seniors. A lot of insurance companies will offer those like waivers or reimbursements, but we just
We
apply that.
cover that as well too, so they're not losing anything by joining Buckeye Pace with any of the waivers that they have or any of the incentives they have from the other insurance companies. We are completely under one umbrella, totally inclusive for them as well. And we have what's called our interdisciplinary team. So that consists of our social workers, our PT, our OT, our spiritual advisor, dietitian, transportation, everybody involved in their care. And they plan the care plan for them. So 6 months down the road, say somebody has a fall or something changes in their health. They all meet again and they come up with a new plan of care for each participant as well. So rural areas and the lower income areas is where our focus has always been. We're all throughout the state of Pennsylvania, and we have 2 centers in Kentucky as well. So I know that you had mentioned Ashtabula and our center, we just did our ribbon cutting last week there. Mahoney County, I cover Trumbull and I cover Mahoney as well. So just to let you know, and please ask me any questions you want.
But first, you said when you join our team, kind of clarify to me what that means when you say join. Do they just call you?
I'm go ahead.
I mean,
Sorry.
how do they get involved with your agency or your
Well,
company?
On the brochure, there is an 800 number on the my business card, but also on that flyer is my number as well. They can call into the center. I'm gonna be out in the community quite a bit, like all day long, every day, just to introduce us, to reach out to the community, to the seniors. And word of mouth, they're coming into the building to find out about it and contact me to sign up.
And we do have an intake process, so we have enrollment specialists that will actually go and meet the individual in their home to assess if they're appropriate. So we'll also have like a level of care assessment done that gets turned into the state to determine if they are appropriate for the level of care services. And then we walk them through that intake process from there. So if they are appropriate, we bring them in for, we call them initial assessments. So every member of that IDT will meet with that person, also do a home assessment. So OT and home care will go into the home and see what services or what kind of setup they may need. What DME are they gonna need? How much home care are they gonna need? Those types of things. And then before they actually come on with us, so you can enroll at the beginning of a month and you typically will disenroll at the end of a month. So let's say we're going into September, we would come together as an IDT and discuss those assessments and what this person really needs, and we build their care plan from there.
So I guess my question is, where does it fit in with this? Are you asking for senior levy money also, or just? So I don't even see how this conversation is relevant to what.
The 200 on the waiting list.
What's that? Well, that's great, but they get these people that are getting picked up by our transportation or going to a senior center and winning this, they can use them also, but not in place of, or maybe they could use in place of a guy who doesn't want to go to a senior center, to go to them instead, or get a ride from them instead of our.
I think that's the key.
Right.
Oh, it's great that they're out there, that's what I'm saying, but we're looking at where we're gonna spend our senior levy tax dollars paid to us by the public for free services, not Medicare, Medicaid, whatever. It's awesome that they're there.
Well, let me ask a question about that, because I'm reading the brochure.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Diane Jakovic, Senior Levy Administrator, forgive my name. In this brochure, it says for participants not Medicaid eligible, there is a fee. What is that fee?
That's considered our private pay. And if they're not eligible, the participant, if they want to join the clinic and center, then they would determine that would involve a care plan, what their needs are. There's not a flat fee.
Christina Anderson. So to be eligible for no payment, they have to be Medicaid eligible. Okay,
Yes.
so that, and it covers their private.
And describe what that Medicaid eligibility entails for those who are not in that arena and understand. So what makes somebody Medicaid eligible?
55 plus.
I take offense to that.
I usually, what are you gonna do? Life happens, right?
Way over that.
And
Okay, there is a limit on their income. which is no, you cannot make more than $2,900 in a month. And also, there is a limit on the assets that they have. And that about
Can you go in
25.
their own?
Yes, absolutely. Mhm. Our program is really geared towards the lower income. You know, if your annual income, your monthly income can only be 2,900. You know, that is the type of participant that the program works for. But it, you know, consider the fact that we make all the doctor's appointments, we handle the DME, specialty pharmacy. So any one of us, I'm sure we have experienced a family member or parents, you know, taking care of them and how stressful that can be, keeping track of the appointments and medication and the changes. So this alleviates all of that for the family members that are caregiving. That really, you know, helps them out quite a bit too. And the poor seniors that are trying to handle it on their own, it is very cumbersome. And I'm saying that from my own experience, so it's a lot. Yes.
Tony Lampersine, so what you're saying is if you're not Medicaid eligible and you don't want to, and you can't afford to pay the fee, if you're not Medicaid eligible, you can't help them.
You're saying if they are not.
Not Medicaid eligible and cannot afford your pay for a fee, you can't help them.
Well, it's not really that clean cut and dry. It depends on what their needs are. Okay, it depends on.
You would still be able to take care of if they weren't Medicaid eligible?
Their Medicare and Medicaid has to be. If somebody wants to join the clinic and the center and they want to private pay, that is out of my wheelhouse.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
so
saying they don't want to pay, they don't want to private pay.
Well, then,
So
then
then they're out of the vote.
we cannot help them then.
Okay.
My question is, right, you know, we have a senior services advisory board.
Yes.
Do you work with the advisory boards? In other words, if, you know, Diane, you have, I'm sure, a waiting list of people that are in need. Isn't there a situation where those that can't utilize this service that we can assist, but then direct
Absolutely.
others to this service, Medicaid and 55 over that qualify? In other words, to work together
Oh, yeah.
to cut costs and to try to, you know,
Absolutely, that would be,
this is,
that would be the best thing. to do.
They're new to
This
the
is why I'm
community,
here.
so it hasn't happened yet, because they're new to the community, so.
right, I'm just
When they open,
thinking,
I need
you
to
know,
go in and.
that maybe this is the type of service that we can direct those that would qualify to, but those that don't, then we would have to assist those, you know, that don't qualify.
And
Yes,
if I
I'm
push
sorry,
the
go ahead.
information, I'll send
But I do think we need to watch on that too, just thinking legally wise, I'm not an attorney at all. But if they're a for-profit entity, I don't know that we should be advising people to go with the company and recommending somebody that's for-profit. It wouldn't be fair to the other
Run that-
businesses
Well,
like that.
actually-
So maybe just read on it.
Home does that. That's their main, they direct people to the right resources. They review the people for eligibility, they look at their income limits, their assets, and then they direct the people. I usually direct people to Direction Home because they have all of the resources to
Okay.
do that.
So
So we're
that's-
already doing that in effect with our Title III, I'm trying to think of all the grant programs that Direction Home gets, plus, you know, Senior Levy. When they can't fit them in this pigeonhole, they'll call me at Senior Levy. Or they'll call the actual providers to get them on the waiting list.
Christina Anderson, and that was one of my points, is that, a lot of the folks that we're looking at on this list do not qualify for that Medicaid program, and so what we're doing is they should be directed in two directions to see if they qualify for those waivers or things like that. We're talking about the people who don't qualify, and those are the ones who need assistance.
And just so you all aware, we do work directly with Direction Home, the Ohio State Area of Aging, as well as local as well too. and JFS. They all collaborate with us as far as paperwork and qualifications and what's available for who and who qualifies. We do work with the community already for that. That's standard practice in every state.
We do that with transportation. We tell them they have the Jobs and Family Services ability to use that program, or if they've got other insurances there to use that, not our transportation. So that saves on our dollars too. Which this will help. I just don't know to what extreme yet. And, you know, we're talking 200 people. And as you said, Christina, they were directed to us because they didn't fit the Direction Homes.
And so with funding,
Good.
thank you,
Thank you
Maria.
very much for
Thank
your
you,
time.
appreciate that.
Where is your center now?
We're on that
Right on Elm Road at the old Rite Aid building.
When do you open up?
Friday, be your first day.
Yep.
So they're not open.
I got a ribbon cut last week.
Yep.
Last week, we had all 3 locations have ribbon cutting. But what I'd like to do, and I know that you're gonna carry on and I'm done, is set up a meeting with all of you to come out and do a tour at the facility.
What are your hours of operation?
Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
What about emergency calls?
So we do offer 24/7 support. So participants in our program that would need assistance after hours can call our on-call number. And you will receive an RN on the other line, who will then triage the call and pass it off to either emergency personnel or the center and clinic managers at each site to then go out and handle the situation at hand.
What about transport to a hospital if need be? Do you do that?
We could typically, if it's an emergent situation like that after hours where they would need the emergency, we would just dispatch 911 for them. However, if they are in our center and they're safe enough to, you know, transport down to the hospital, we will. But typically in those situations, something with the chest pain, EKG showing weird things. I'm not clinical, so we will then transport them still EMS down. We'll call EMS to our clinic and have them taken to the hospital.
So I think you would want to ask a question and say, raise your hand.
Hello.
Oh, okay,
I would like to take a minute.
sure.
I'd like to remind everybody that when we were applying for our additional funding that won't go into effect until next year, that we had a commissioner come to our meeting and suggest to us that to get these extra funds instead of putting on 11, that we fundraise. And we were not asked to be on this committee for fundraising. We were asked to be trustees of this money, to allocate it properly and evenly, and to watch out for our Trumbull County tax dollars that come into us with funds. And I think that's what our group has done. Really, we're not trying to cut the legs off of these senior centers and not give them anything. What we're trying to do is make sure the money is distributed equally, fairly, and trying to get new help for these folks that are on wait lists. It basically is all we're trying to do. We still want to help senior centers. But I feel that we should not be responsible for the whole workings of every senior center in Trumbull County. We'll still allot funding for them. Everybody's got to tighten their belt when we think, as well as senior centers. They can also fundraise themselves if they're feeling shortchanged, not worrying about, keeping up. That's an available option for them. I think I'm speaking for others, but I can't actually say everybody, So that's my thoughts on this whole process that we've tried to do with this funding.
Yeah, and well, you bring up a good point. First of all, I don't believe that the board should have to go out and fundraise. I mean, I understand that could be an option, but you know, that's asking a lot of a board. I think that the board, that the board's role is to make those recommendations to the commissioners that you feel
Right.
best suited
And that,
for us to, you know, to delegate or appropriate monies. I think where we're at is, and on behalf of the commissioners, I speak for myself, but I believe I speak for them. When we're talking about the senior centers, you know, I believe that a lot of the monies that were voted on, the levies, the senior levy monies, a lot of those that were, you know, that are utilizing the senior centers currently, I do believe that a lot of those monies and that vote for the additional monies came in because of those senior centers. So to cut them when they're, you know, as far as adding more, I don't believe, I'm going to put myself on a limb, that this is a good direction to go to add more. I do believe that these in-home services make sense. I really do. And I believe that yet those centers that we have current, we should continue to fund for those that utilize them, that have nowhere else to go or nothing, you know what I mean? And we've heard from, how many phone calls we get? 300-400 through the, you know, through the commissioners' emails to call. We couldn't call them all. Finally, I had to tell Dawn, who answers the phone here, let everybody know that we're not shutting down senior centers and we're not cutting those senior centers as of our vote right now. But I don't know moving forward, and Commissioner Bernard had mentioned the money's in carryover. Diane, you had mentioned it's going to run out. This needs to be what we're looking at. Where are we going to go moving forward? Maybe 2 years down the road, you know, we got to start looking at some additional options. But I think as a commissioner personally, this is a great idea, but working with people like Buckeye and maybe those that can't, like you had mentioned, what is it, Christina? Sorry. We do need to offer them, you know, a service. And it's important to offer them a service. How do we get there? I don't
My
know.
biggest question is, we're operating on the budget we have now, but we will have 600,000 more next year, right? Correct, with the new replacement levy,
It's 1.2 million,
more.
right? But we've already started spending that now in anticipation of that.
But what I'm saying is, when that more money comes in, will we be able to maintain the 625,000 for the senior centers? If we give them that, which we did now,
We just can't, no, because we also increased homemaker and personal care just recently with additional dollars to try to meet the waiting list. So the 625 is not sustainable through year 3. We are trying to meet the waiting list.
Do you have a number how deep we're in to?
It's at 125. That's why I worked out the budget using the $500,000.
where were we in home health care before the levy? If we're at 1.8 now, where were we
That's
before?
1.2.
Yeah, so we increased that 600,000.
Not a topic that relates to the budget is the transportation grant. That's not a guarantee. That ODOT grant that Mike Salamone gets. In fact, we were cut by 120,000 this past year. If another agency requests vehicles, they fund that first and we get the remaining. So last year, this year coming up, we're going to be cut 520.
We can't speculate I mean, what's gonna happen down the road, it's gonna happen down the road. We gotta look at the now.
That's why I budget for 750, because we can afford 750. That's why we thought we could budget for 500 for the senior care centers, because we could afford that. Then all these other programs we increased already because we can sustain that with our budget carrying forward next year's collections. I'm a budgeter. Sorry.
Sorry, could you maybe touch on like the attendance and things like that, senior centers that have also played a factor into our decision?
We, Mary Beth, my assistant in the office now, has compiled the daily activity centers count of people that come in a month's time. And our highest performing centers typically would be Howland, but they were closed. But we've got Niles and Warren, Warren being the highest at 228 people, individuals that come in a month. Okay, they might come for one thing, they might come for everything, but individuals that come to the centers. Niles is a very busy
They don't
center.
come in every day though, right?
There are people that of that 228 that maybe come in every day.
Yeah.
228 unique people.
Yes,
Yeah, but you only count them as one person.
Correct.
right. McDonald Village, relatively new to us the prior year. They're increasing every month, but they see 75 people, individuals in their community. Now that's just, McDonald area. So it's a small area, right? Johnson Township, 64 people on average, I'm giving you for the year, this most recent year. Farmington, clear out in Timbuktu, 126 individuals monthly. And I know most of their events is that breakfast. If you haven't gone for West Farmington breakfast, you need to go have a West Farmington. I'm telling you, the place is packed. This is what we like to see. We like to see a lot of activities throughout the day, a lot of people coming. Not just a couple hours a day, you've got most of your people and then the building sits empty the rest of the day. Girard Multigen, one of our, larger centers. Now, this is just the daily activity count. This doesn't include the supportive services, not including the tax program. On an average daily basis, 97 people. That's in a larger community. As opposed to maybe Niles, which is about the same size as having 137.
Can I ask why Gerard would be so small?
We,
So they get money from us, they have their own levy.
Yeah.
We just put a big roof on it with ARPA and stuff, spent a lot of money on that. Why only 90?
Gerard operating budget, they get a $200,000 levy from the city of Girard itself, plus last year had a $60,000 contract with senior levy for the last 2 years.
So, Laura Carey from the Gerard Multi-Generational Center,
Sheila?
to answer you, Commissioner.
Yeah.
So I know more exactly, I have numbers here, so, if that's what they are saying, that is just the people that come in for the programs. Again, most of my people are there almost every single day. We also have an in-house social worker. We're not counting any of those services. So if we look at, I look at my summary stats. If we look at, this is for this year to date. Actually, I ran this before the last meeting, your last workshop meeting. So we've served 498 people. The next page will show you 1 week, there were 72 people in 1 week that came. And then the one before that shows you, that last page shows you how many people we have served individually. Sorry, I just get really upset. How many people that we served individually since we were funded last year? And I will give you a copy of that as well. So we are serving a large number of people. And again, most of our people are there. A lot of the people are there daily. Some of them only come every once in a while for supportive services, which I think are huge. That we have a social worker on staff that can help them figure out their Medicaid, their Medicare, help them figure out their tech, help them figure out heat assistance, all of the energy assistance. And I can't tell you how our social worker is, her appointments are pretty much booked in the afternoons. Because she's also our program director. So, so she is running programs as well as me. There's 4 of us on staff, that includes my maintenance person. We are in a very large building, very large building. We have multiple things going on all at the same time. So sometimes we're busier for 2 or 3 hours. And then we have less people coming in for the other programs. It just depends on what is going on. And what day of the week it is, but we still serve a lot of people and there's a lot of value to that. The other thing, and the reason that we passed a levy in the city of Girard after we had passed the original senior levy for the county was because we're an old school building. One of the reasons that the people in our community and the people outside of our community value us is because we also help eliminate blight. So we would have been a boarded up school building. We got federal dollars from Congressman Trafficant to open the doors, and we operated for 5.5 years on that. Then we went to how are we going to keep operating? We looked at the senior levy, knew that was not going to be able to fund us completely. So we also looked at passing a levy in the city of Girard. We have passed that over and over again. The people in Girard appreciate the services there. If they don't attend, their loved ones attend, but we don't just serve people from Girard. We have Liberty, we have McDonald, we have Weathersfield. I have pickleball players that come down from Portland and Champion. We're serving a larger group of people. I can't say, depending on what different programs are, I would say that our daily attendance was probably higher when we had the meal program in the afternoon, because that brought in a different group of people. Since that has been eliminated, because the Levy Advisory Council said that that program was not cost effective. We have seen less people come. I think that if you look at West Farmington, if you look at some of the centers that do have a little bit higher attendance than us, it's because they have meal. And we no longer do. I don't have the resources. Country Neighbor can't come down. We're a little too far south. I mean, I talked to Barb about it. We don't have an afternoon meal program. Do we still have people who come in the afternoon? Yes, they play pickleball, they use our, we have 2 fitness rooms with workout machines. They can work out in those. We provide a lot of services. There are services that this advisory council says, okay, we don't want to fund that anymore. We don't want to fund that. We don't think puzzles are good. I don't have somebody coming in and sitting by themselves doing a puzzle. I have a group of women, 3 of them are widows. There's at least 4 people usually every day working puzzles. It's a group collective activity. It works their mind, it gives them socialization, it gives them a sense of accomplishment. I would beg to have you come in and look at what we're doing. Yes, are there times of the day that I'm writing grants and Chris is doing supportive services and Lori's doing intake, computer input intake for different things? Yes, there are times when there's not 10 people in the building. There are times when our parking lot is completely full. Because at the same time I have yoga, I have a tap dance and a jazz class that go on after that. And that's happening the same time that we're doing mind games. And I have a stretching class we do every morning for a half an hour. And there's no less, on a slow day, no less than 12 people in there every morning just for that class. There are times where I have 18 to 20 people in that room and we're like on top of each other trying to stretch. So yeah, come visit the center. And know that, we shouldn't be punished. And we were punished last time. Last time, just to keep my budget in order, because the senior levy didn't want to fund us at a full level, I applied for ARPA funds and got ARPA funds to balance my budget. I don't, so for the next 2 months, while we are now extending the old contracts, I don't have ARPA funds coming in to help me balance that budget anymore either. So I'm already being penalized. And again, just because my community thinks that my center is important enough to fund us, that's a big building, it is a big facility. I'm not asking for any more share than any other large center. I'm asking,
You could grow there and get
and we
more
have
people.
grown in the last couple of years, and we used to serve more people. Again, we did serve more people before COVID. Our average number of people that we served a year was like 1,002 people. That dropped because of some of the population dropped, and that people were also frailer because they hadn't been out. But the people that come, I'm telling you, we're like one big extended family. They need each other. They really do. They depend on each other and they depend on us. So
I don't think anyone's disputing it. You got a great program. I've seen it. I'm sure everyone here would agree. You've got a great program. So we're not knocking any of that. I'm just asking questions as far as, can you grow? Can you hit more
Yes.
people? We want to find a way to fit everybody where we can and serve as many people as we can. I think it's the goal here. And it sounds like you have room that you can serve more people if given the opportunity.
We are lucky enough that we have a gymnasium on top of workout rooms and other rooms to hold multiple events at the same time. So that you can be getting different services all at the same time at my center, and we definitely have room to grow. And we love to see new people come in. And I'd be happy to shoot you all an email and even the advisory council about how many new members have joined in the last year.
Thank you for answering that. Sorry for answering that.
And I remind you that we're just trying to serve those who can't even get to a senior center, that have no mobility abilities, that are stuck in their home.
And give them dignity.
I think you've got someone behind you raising your hand.
Yes, sir. I speak. Hi, my name is Ken Blakey. I'm the Executive Director of Jewish Family and Community Services. We sponsor the J Meals program, serves Trumbull County residents for the home delivered meal program. I just wanted to give you guys some more thought as to what you're doing. I'm not trying to get in the middle of your debate, but I wanted to share some perspective on what we see from my end. So maybe you could help you guys make an informed decision as to what to do with your dollars. We are currently serving 122 seniors in Trumbull County. These are 60 and older that are homebound, low income. We call them on a daily basis. Our drivers talk to them face to face. They cannot leave their house. They have to get transportation to go to the doctor appointments. They don't have national supports. They have to go through a phone assessment to qualify for our program. The part that I want to emphasize is we have 252 people in Trumbull County on our wait list. We are capped out with our current funds. We are very appreciative of what Trumbull County Senior Levy has done for us. That is to just show you the need, the basic need of 252 people that are not getting food on a daily basis. The people that we serve can barely put the food into the oven or the microwave themselves. They are very medically fragile people. Our meals are frozen, so they do heat them up in the oven or the oven quickly, or microwave, I'm sorry. But that just shows you the need. We've been doing this program for 3 years with the Senior Levy. We have made over 19,350 units this year so far of food. They get 5 meals per week and we drop them off at their house. They're very appreciative. We have great feedback on our surveys. But again, it's just a different perspective to share with this committee and commissioners as well, that we have this big wait list of people that are sitting at home that don't get the basic necessity of food. I don't know how they're getting food, honestly. And there's probably more people that if they find out about us, would probably want to join the program as well, or other home delivery meal programs.
Hey, is that part of that middle category? We want to reallocate the 125 towards?
No,
The meals.
that's the meal program.
That's a whole separate one.
That's another wait list that is growing as well.
We haven't talked about that. We
No.
talked about
We doubled it last
so much
year.
here and that, not
We
that.
doubled it in 2024. And again, they still have more waiting list. Just trying to balance.
But hasn't
the
the state cut you back
It's
funds.
not
Not us.
us, that's direct from home.
Well, they've cut state funding though
I guess they
for the
didn't
elderly.
cut, but they've kept it the same for many years.
Well, I think that's another question that we need to have with our state reps. when they
States.
come in, that, you know, we need more money put in to help us with the seniors. No question about that. And even if you took that whole 125,000 from the centers, you're still gonna have a waiting list. We're still not gonna be able to service everybody.
Right, and this is waiting list we haven't even
Right.
touched
Right, so
or addressed.
what we need to tell our state reps again is we need some more funding in to help our elderly in this county. Okay,
One thing I would say, Sandy Scott, Mr. Blackie, how long have you been working with your agency? How long have you been working with Diane?
I've been with Diane for the last 4 years, I think it's been, and I've been working with the agency. I've been the executive director for the last 8 years.
And we have a good rapport.
Yes.
We do reach out to folks that we think can help these folks. I'm trying to do a great job with that. Not that we're certainly not trying to take away from anybody, we're just trying to spread the resources as much as possible. Folks that really, it's all we're trying to do. So thank you, Mr. Miller.
Christina Anderson again. Just two things. Do you happen to have any attendance sheets?
I don't have the participation sheets. I will send them to each of you commissioners to see the activity that go on a daily basis. They have to send us a participation sheet in order to get the funding that they're asking for. You can see what's being done with our dollars, how many attendees you have, how many hours they're open, and how much they're filling that space in those hours that they're open.
And then my other thing is, just being mindful of, there's a lot of duplication of services at different CNCs. We have been asking for senior centers to come together, let's work collaboratively, let's figure out how we can make this work. And I think that you've all, been diligent about that, and that's just not happening. So we see a lot of duplication of social work services and things like that. With job and family services, direction home, TCAP helps with applications, and those are all things that are already separate programs that are funded that they could use those services for.
Bob Wolfter, Senior Services Advisory Council. I think it would be important for people to understand that the funds that we have for the senior centers, we just don't throw out that money at Senior Center A, Senior Center B, Senior Center C. They're required to perform a financial feat continually. They have to document and prove every service that they have provided to every client. The times, everything is checked and cross-checked. They don't get paid. They don't get a penny unless they can demonstrate on paper, prove to Diane what the participation has been. Then they get paid. Now, I also need you to understand that at the end of the year, you owe these senior centers more than what they have been paid. What other contractor do the commissioners have? Or you enter into a contract with a company, and we are all the senior centers are all individual nonprofits. They are companies. But what other company do you have that you contract with? At the end of the contract, you turn to that supplier and you say, oh, by the way, we're not going to pay you everything that we have agreed to pay you. We're only going to pay you 80% or 70% or whatever it is. Diane, could you tell me, just a guesstimate, how much more was one of the senior centers earned than what they were actually paying?
I don't have that information.
She doesn't have that information.
It's called,
I can,
they're being paid their full contract. It's not like we're cutting and not paying their contract. Whatever we contract them to, that's what their budget, that's what they need to work within. But then there's this billing by participation, how many people attended and their unit rate, whether they have 5 people, whether they have 10 people, they're only going to be paid for that hour of service that they had participation. Okay, so we tried to, at one point in time, and what you're doing is you're multiplying every single person by that unit rate, and it looks like they're doing more serving than what we're paying. At one time, we said that they need to have at least 3 people to get credit for us to pay for a program. Now we're at 1 person. I think our next cycle, we're asking them again to go back to the 3 people. We want to see participation. We don't want to open our doors for 10 people to come into a center and be paying our tax dollars for just a few people, that much money. So we try to increase, we want to see increased participation. That's been our goal, this committee's goal for senior centers, is to see more people using the center. We try to build RFPs that encourage that. You know, every time we come out with an RFP, there's like a new idea, you know, of trying to encourage something different for better billing practices.
You have an idea what your shortfall would be to continue to fund our current centers and offer an in-home service? Is it,
$125,000.
you keep bringing that up, but
Because I budgeted based on all the programs, fully using all their contracts. And if I paid in full every contract and our budget, our operating budget, I would be in the hole by $125,000. If we kept the senior centers at $625,000.
And how many home care people would you serve by taking away that $125,000?
Well, at $9,000 a year. 50?
Okay.
More
Off
like
the top of my
15.
head, okay, 15, 10. But these are.
Well, I get it, but also, you know, 125,000 is probably gonna take care of more than 15 people.
But they can go to another door
Well,
and still get the
maybe
same
they can and
service.
maybe they can't, you know, it depends on where they live. I mean,
But those who are homebound can't.
I understand both sides, but I also understand that a senior that's used to going to a center and they're used to providing a service from that center, that when you tell them no more, that door's gonna close, you know, that's gonna be an emotional.
Well, and some of this too, though, we're not fully funding all of these centers. I mean, a township can open up their own center with $0 from senior levy if they wanted to. If they had volunteers in the community and they wanted to have exercises, they wanted to have events, every township out there can have their own if they wanted to. It's a luxury that they're able to get senior levy money to assist them with it, but we're not in the business of opening and running senior centers out of the county. We throw money on the centers that are already in existence, or, you know, they've got to want it first. You know, we're not creating businesses, we're just assisting ones that want it. And there are some like Johnson, I'll use them as an example. I'm sure they provide more services than the money we give them with the volunteers that they have, you know, with the more the people they have. A lot of it they eat, and maybe Johnson Township eats it, maybe the volunteers eat it, maybe there's private entities that eat some of the money. And just like with Scope in our last meeting we had, they eat a lot of the money themselves. Could they run without our money? Probably. Do they want to? Well, no. Why would you want to if there's senior money to do that, to assist, to make you bigger and better? Same thing with Gerard. Before they had the 200,000 from Gerard, they were still a senior center. Did they provide the same service? Probably not as good, but they can still function without it. So we're not saying we don't want senior centers. They can open, every township can open up one tomorrow if they wanted to. We can only fund so many of them. 625. Now, if there's more that we fund, that takes the amount from every senior center that's out there, gets less. So where is the happy balance between they can function adequately, or we break the bank by the straw that broke the camel's back by opening up another 2 that we gotta fund, and then all of a sudden the 1 or 2 that are barely hanging on may not be able to survive. if they don't have other donors or other income sources.
Well, I would agree with that.
We don't want to cut any senior centers.
No.
We don't want, if they,
But-
and they can keep expanding, we just can't fund any
Uh,
without cutting services.
We had
Nobody's
discussed that.
talking about expanding, all we're talking about is keeping the status
Current,
quo.
what's the current?
And we're not even talking about, I'm not even talking about cutting any. You know, we got beat up last week over, we're gonna cut, we don't care about the people here, we don't care about this. That's not true at all. We funded, we told Diane, tap in your savings. For another year, they're safe. And I believe the next year, they're still safe. Third year, we gotta think about something. Well, that doesn't mean 2 years from now, we can't do another replacement levy, or we can't do an additional levy if we need to at that time. I think the way that we take care of our seniors and those less fortunate, the community may support that. If we can have a plan to come together to fund everything for the next 2 years. 2 years from now, let's have the discussion then, do we need to raise it a little bit more and raise more money? I would be for that, and I think the community would be for that, if the senior centers and the people receiving services all lobbied behind us and said, we need another extra $125,000 to make this work. I mean, we're talking about, as far as government goes, pennies. If another agency came to us or one of our own departments that said, we need 125 to make it through the end of the year, we could find that in the couch cushions, 125. That's not big money. It's not like we're asking for 1.1 million or somebody's 2 million short, or a 911 center, or a $5 million dog pound. We're talking about sitting here almost creating a fight between our seniors over $125,000. To me, that's not an argument that I even want to fight. I don't know if you do, Mr. Woofter, but 125,000 to take care of our seniors. Yeah, let's fight. Let's figure it out.
I agree, and if you cut the services, then if you go for additional money, it's not gonna pass. If you start cutting these centers.
Sure.
It's just not gonna pass. I mean, we should do all we can to provide all the services we can for the seniors. How we go about that, we're gonna have to work that out. And that's why we said, let's fund it for another year, see if we can't get some more state dollars in here, see where we can go on it.
Sure.
But, just to come in and cut those centers right now, I just don't think that's a good idea. And I don't think the other two, I don't think you agree with that, and I know Rick doesn't. agree with that. So
No, I don't.
We're gonna have to.
But I do want to commend the board for what they do.
Oh, we
And I
understand
know
what
that
they're doing.
they're like all of us, we do want to see penetration throughout the whole area as much as we can help. There's only so much to go around. It's always about the money. And we'll look at that and work with, the advisory board. We'll have more meetings like this too, to, discuss these things with the commissioners rather than taking it upon yourself just
If you
to.
have 200 on the waiting list and you're only gonna take care of an additional 15, you still got 185 there.
So we always gotta be looking for new funding sources.
Yeah.
We always gotta be looking for ways to serve more. I think that's our common goal. But I don't want to create a fight where there isn't a fight. And right now, whether someone's getting a ride, a bath, or playing a puzzle, I think it's all equally important. And I think for $125,000, let's not have this argument. Let's not even throw that pit bull in the fight. Let's keep it out.
Okay,
Let's,
so to move the meeting forward, we
yes.
need directive from you. We are in the midst of an RFP cycle that we already accepted the bids on at $625,000. Do they proceed forward to make recommendation and present that to you in the following weeks?
I would say the 625. Yes, we stick with that.
And we
We-
just proceed forward with the bids we already have, so they don't have to resubmit bids for the same dollar amount.
Yes, but I think the common goal is we're not going to expand,
No?
but we're going to keep what we have. And then you can look at those bids, and like we did before,
Okay.
and I think we learned Gerard, we used as an example. I was on the last board, and they proved that they needed more money, but they didn't prove it the right way when it came to the board as far as documentation of time. We told you next time, document your time better so we can pay you more. And I think you probably learned from that. We were able to throw some ARP money at it. It was only like $34,000 or something. And now when this cycle's here, then your board will be able to look at it again and say, okay, here's our 625. you guys figure out where you think it should go and then present it back to us as far as who gets how much. And it seems like you've already got a cookie cutter pattern down from what you did last time. And if we're at the same number of senior centers, it would make sense. They probably would get the same amount, but now you're gonna just delegate.
Depending on what they bid for. We have
Correct.
to take what they bid.
Well, you take what they bid for, but you can also look at
You
what you
can't
got before.
increase what they,
I don't wanna take from one to give more to another if they can't justify
only
it.
what they bid for. If they bid for 20,000, then we can't give them 25. That's within
understand.
the legal bid process.
I understand.
Just so you know that, and no new centers.
And hopefully they did learn from the Gerard lesson last time. If they didn't bid enough, or then they should have learned a bit more or document their time more. So
That's a different story.
when it comes time to do it again,
That's a different story.
they were all here. They were all part of that last process. It's the same ones. Then they all know that they needed to document their time to get paid. And if they didn't do it right, it's on them.
May I, just in ending here, because I know we're going, and I'm fine with that.
Tony, your name, please.
Tony Lampersina, when this levy first went through, the senior centers were receiving, the few that they had were receiving 25% with a 75% match from the city or the county or the city or township. That has grown to 70%. That's where the money is that we would have had for the homemaker and chore. It's going. You're giving more to the senior centers, and by doing that, you're detracting from those others that are in need. The senior levy was set for direct service. That's what is important. And direct services means being in that house if you have to be there, having somebody there. I understand the way you're going with this, and I know that the money is not a problem for you right now. But it should be direct, we should be looking at putting more onus on the cities and the townships and going back, maybe not the 25% of health, but 50% of the programs that are actually working that they have up and operating, and not give one to 70%. That alone right there will get some more, and it'll bring food in. It'll bring help to the people. It'll get people's grass cut. That's what we need. Gotta look at that. That has to be lower. They're getting entirely too much funding by taking it away from others.
Well, it's an option. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
It's
So
extremely
you're saying-
difficult to take back though once you
Yeah.
get, we learned that in government. And I hate to take back something that they budgeted, they got used to it, they, you know. I understand we're cutting back in a lot of things, but with our seniors, it isn't like we got an endless time clock. You know, there's a small window that everyone's on the clock at that level. And the cutback in their final stages of maybe health, wellness. I just have a hard time doing that. If we can figure a way to make it work, like you said, we're talking 125,000. We're not talking a mountain. And I think if they're used to working with 625 and they can do it, they may not even like 625. I'm sure they would like more if we can give it. And I'm sure transportation would like more if we can give it. We have to live within what we have, but I hate to scale back if we can avoid scaling back. And we just got a replacement levy. And I can't justify in my head, how do we get a replacement levy that's bringing in more money, but we're gonna cut a program back?
Because we're moving it to another
I
program.
understand that, but I still think that's a
Because you
big jump.
commissioned her to look at every penny and make sure we were spending it efficiently.
Wants to do due diligence.
And
She brings us the numbers to us every month.
I
I've
understand.
got this many more applications, this many more applications, and we are in constant communication from direction. Mr. Boyd.
Well, maybe we did a wonderful job marketing home health care. We need to do a better job marketing senior centers.
Senior
for
centers need to do a
participation.
better job of marketing themselves.
Correct.
They need to market themselves, not us. That's not our board.
Correct. Just like he said, hey, maybe people will hear me now and they'll want more meals. You know, senior centers, maybe we could do a better job if they've got room in Gerard. And heck, you got that big, huge building. I thought your numbers are gonna be like 200. And I heard what Niles and Warren was,
They used to be.
because you have a facility that can do that.
They
You've got
say
it.
if they don't offer meals, that's when they're not.
Well, I have to speak something about the meal program. The congregate meal program is not ours. Diane, nothing to do with us. Levy administered. Congregate meal programs is Direction Homes program. Office of Elderly Affairs were the ones bringing the food through the congregate funding to the different centers. Gerard could not bring in the participation. It was the Direction Home congregate meal program that they had to not do anymore because they did not have more than 6 people coming daily. That's through the congregate meal program. You're raising your hand. Oh,
I'll wait till you're done.
okay. So they were the ones that discontinued because of participation, which caused me to start really looking at participation numbers and calendars. And that's why I want you to see the daily calendar of each senior center to see, you know, how they're filling their hours and getting paid by us for those hours. Barb Klingon-Smith has her hand up. Announce your name and I will.
Barbara Klingon-Smith, I'm the executive director of Country Neighbor Program.
I'm sitting here and I was here last time too, and through the debate, we're a multi-service provider. So not only do we do transportation, home delivered meals, homemaker, personal care, what else do we do? We have the senior center in Kinsman. So we see a whole variety of different people. You're right, we are funded in the northern part of the county through Direction Home for congregate meals. We are currently providing for Johnson, Kinsman, and Farmington congregate meals through Direction Home. And so the Title III money that you're talking about is actual federal money that comes down through the state. And it is cut. We actually received a reduction in congregate meals Direction Home last year. So what I did, so we didn't have to cut the northern part of the county. We only do congregate in the northern part under Direction Home federal money. So to make sure that we didn't have to reduce services for congregate, I went to a foundation and said, hey, here's the situation. We don't want to reduce. Can you help? And they did. We also do Direction Home delivered in northern Trumbull, and we have Trumbull County Levy home delivered in northern Trumbull. We go every day. I can't tell you that, you know, it's not every day that we find situations that are critical, but we do face-to-face every day. That also that Direction Home Title III money was reduced too. They're telling me that next year there's another reduction. Be prepared in January for another reduction in both congregate home delivery. Well, for a number of reasons. One is because the population changed in Ohio in different areas, and it's all funded through formula and all that stuff. So some of this area of the county, this area of the state has lost population in other parts of it. So that's they're shifting also. So I guess what I want to say, we're a senior center, but we do all the in-home services as well. And transportation is, you know, critical as well. So I just say thank you to what you're doing. It is a tough decision as to who gets what. Senior centers are just as important as all the in-home services. You know, there's only so much money to go around. And I've been with our agency, I'm going on 43 years that I've been doing this business. And, you know, we are not an agency that stands and says, okay, give me more, we have to do more, we have to do more, but we look to see where else can we pull to bring in to help meet their services. So I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just saying. I hear everything and we see hoarding situations and we see, you know, people who need meals and we see people who need a bath and we see people who really need to come into the center and just, you know, we have a couple that comes to Kinsman every day. She's trying to take care of her husband who's also that's her escape, but they come together. I mean, it's just it's a situation. Yeah. Thank you. It's for you, but it's tough. It's a tough decision, and I can only respect what you're doing.
One other thing I wanted to say too is I had a meeting last week with United Way. And we talked about different things. They have funding they've got to build a relationship with you, and I encourage you to get with Ms. Coe from United Way. She said they've got volunteers that could mow grass right now, could build ramps. They have a volunteer force that are looking for things to do every day. When I brought up the senior levy thing in the meeting, she had seen the meeting and heard about it. She said, United Way can help with this stuff. We can assist. We can do that. So I would ask that
Her name's Miss Cope.
Cope is her last name. I can't believe I can't remember. Christie, yes. So she's right on Harmon right there. She said United Way already has a mission and they have a workforce of labor that she said she has people right now that would go mow grass under the United Way's umbrella and under their funding structure. So there are things, like you said, we just got to think outside the box a little bit. We're looking at 125, and I think stuff like this, we can make that number.
Mike Wilson, Scope. I'll walk over here so I'm in the shot. Just a couple things to follow up with our. One of the things we did is we worked with St. Vincent de Paul to start getting free meals, something that you'll probably be able to benefit in the southern half, but she can't cover the southern half with country neighbors. So we're now doing free meals. So thanks to St. Vincent de Paul, their process now there's a maximum per day, per center, what they can do and everything based on their number of volunteers and how much food they donate. And without giving away on the RFP, I just wanted to make sure you all knew that we're asking for less money this year than what we got the last 2 years for each year. So for each of the centers, I've got it here, but I'm not going to disclose it during the RFP. The other thing is, Diane wanted to know the incentive programming, how many people we serve. My guy, Kevin, is very good with numbers and he works on that. We did over 3,000 in service in the 6 centers, but that doesn't include the taxes, which we did 3,286 equal to the pre-taxes. That doesn't include the information referral that we don't charge the senior levy for. That was 2,818. And then what doesn't include the caregivers, family, and the VA support for people that are under 60. We did 851 there. So that's almost 10,000. So that gives you an idea that it's not just what's in-house. You're right when you mentioned that the centers don't charge you everything for all the stuff we're already doing other things for other people. Thank you. But what they're talking about in the in-home and all that, that is fine. They're not wrong. Everybody needs to get help, and that's what they need to do. So we appreciate your work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Any other members of the board? Commissioners, any additional questions?
So we all kind of in agreement a little bit that we're all on
Well,
the same page at least.
Some advisory council. So you're saying with the 625, we're supposed to allocate this, but just to the current centers. The RFPs came in, there was more than just the current centers.
That I would say is for you to decide.
Okay, all right.
And that's what you have, but I think that's gonna be your decision. But I would caution as a commissioner, I would say, if you're gonna dilute people to where they're not gonna be able to function above that number, you might want to think about non-expansion before you think about cutting back
I was just
on the
wanting
current
some
program,
clarity
sir.
on that.
No, I hate to say that because those ones that are put in front, they could still have
They
some.
still have the center, they
It-
just
there may be
maybe
some out there
next
that
year
have
Yeah, next
better
year we
funds.
fund them if they show that they have the number, correct?
We did hear from, Farmington and Johnson, both said, hey, you cut us back, we can still function. They would be great if we cut it back. And maybe I know Bristol wants one really bad. In Bristol, we heard from more people from Bristol than anybody over this last couple of weeks. There was a reason we put the last 2 board members that we had there, Mr. Peterson and Mr. Chickalo, to represent Bristol in that effort of doing so. And hopefully, we'll lead in that direction. They have people that want to be served and we'll find a home for them, or they'll have their own center. Maybe Bristol will help out a little bit more. Maybe some of the people up there will help out. We're not saying don't expand, but we just can't stretch the money we have to the point where we're going to break someone's back and cause them to go out of business.
But no,
Would be my advice, but we will take your advice on what you do. But if we only have 625 to spend, that's what I'm saying. Let's keep that bar at 625 instead of 500 and then figure it out from there. And if a couple of them did ask for less, maybe you do it for one. If a couple of them ask for less, I don't know. That'll be for you guys to see what the bids are.
Okay,
But we don't want to open a new center this year and then have to close it next year.
right.
We don't, but I think the bar is set at 6.25 to operate on if we do that. And we just have to figure a way to make that doable. And increase, we want to increase all three aspects. All four, food thing too. Somehow, and maybe that is an expansion of a levy down the road. We don't need to make that decision now. But seniors aren't gonna peak until 2030. And they are still rising until that point, so we know the next couple of years are crucial for us to get to that point. And if it peaks then and then starts to go down, then we only have a few more rungs of the ladder to hit until we're peaked out or maxed out.
Commissioner, you had mentioned you could find 125,000 in a cushion. Cushion you're sitting on, but I want to be on that cushion.
That's a Mr. Bernard's.
Yeah, right.
You know my analogies right there.
Mr.
We wanna-
Chairman, motion to adjourn.
Well, first, I would like to thank the board and Diane for all that you do. And this is a good meeting to have. We should do it more often and be able to keep, well, I mean, I think it's, beneficial to assemble and talk these things out, so. Commissioner?
Chairman, motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion. Thank you all for being there.
Mr. Bernard.
Yes.
Mr. Malone.
Yes.
Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.